my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All of my niggas insane. They tryna catch. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer.
What's good? Back with another one. You already know, Megan Thee Stallion versus Milagro Gramz, day 2. Milagro testifies. Pam Esq, the law, Intellect, is breaking it all down. Shout out to everybody that's actually going to the trial and they're covering it like how I was covering the Diddy trial. Salute to that, man, most definitely. So I do want to get into this breakdown. Salute to everybody that is on any one of the platforms that I am streaming to live right now. Make sure you're subscribing to Uda On Go, OOTAONGO. Make sure you're a part of On Go. Be a part of the Go team and the Go gang. You already know the vibe. So let's get into Pam, and this is what we're going to be breaking down today. She's going to be breaking it all down to us.
And so she's bringing the case. She's the one who brought the lawsuit. So her team called Milagro as their first witness. So they called her in their case in chief, as opposed to waiting for the defense, which is Milagro, to put on their case after the plaintiff rests, and then they cross-examine her. They decided strategically, I assume for whatever reason, they decided to call her in their case. So it was very interesting because as you will see, a lot of the testimony that we went over today was a lot of text messages and audio and voice messages and her lives, and it was a lot of that. Okay, but immediately when the doors of the courts were open, the first question that Milagro's attorney asked was, well, first of all, let me go back. Before the jury came out, apparently one of the jurors had a question, and this is how I kind of knew that even though we are online, so we know a lot of the back and forth, we know about the Tory Lanez trial, we've all done argued it, everyone has their positions. I think there is somewhat of an assumption that everybody knows what's going on with this stuff, but there really are people that are oblivious to this. They are not online, they're not watching commentators, they're not watching academics. They're not watching Joe Budden. Like they don't know what's going on. So before the jurors came out, there was a question of they were confused about all these names, like all the names. So there was testimony about, of course, Daystar Peterson, which is the real name of Tory Lanez. However, they didn't know, is his name Tony or Tory? Sunstar Peterson, which is the father. So they wanted to know, like, well, who is that? Who is he? Who is Kelsey? Is the best friend of the so-and-so? It lets you know that there was a lot of testimony that was given, and they were obviously getting lost in the sauce. So I knew either it felt like perhaps they were getting hit with a bunch of information, and they were almost, instead of it being fed to them like we're just teaching you this like a 5-year-old, it was almost perhaps an assumption maybe that people knew who these people were. So that was the first piece of information. Like, you might want to figure, let them know who everybody is, because that's important, obviously. Who they didn't know people's suit on that. Who is this person? Who is Megan Thee Stallion? Who are these people? Okay, so that was like the first thing. Then when Milagro's attorney gets up, not Milagro's attorney, I'm sorry, Megan Thee Stallion's attorney, because this is their case in chief, gets up, and the first question he starts asking is, have you talked to bloggers? Have you talked to reporters? Have you talked to the press? And then when she was like, no, I haven't talked to anyone. So when you went to lunch yesterday, did you talk to anyone? She's like, well, I went in the lunch, the cafeteria area that they have, and there were a lot of people that came in there, and I knew some of the people from online or whatnot. So that was like the beginning of, that they're watching your every move. They're watching everything that you do. So then she turns around the office. You didn't talk to that gentleman in the back.
Salute to everybody rocking with us. You already know. I just want to take a listen and break it down, because right now, this is people being in the courtroom, people getting access to the actual transcripts and what's going on in the court on the exact date. I was at the Diddy trial live, and you already know you don't have access to some of this information unless you're at the trial, unless you're there. I saw Donat, shout out to Donat. I saw Donat get a footage of Megan Thee Stallion earlier today. I ended up uploading it to my channel. Shout out to that. But shout out to anybody that's getting out there and getting this content, because this shit about to be up crazy. So shout out to that. Let's get back to Pam and see what she's talking about.
I'm like, she's like, I mean, we might have chit-chatted for a minute, but I don't know. I said, okay, I see where this is going here. So then once they go through all of the rigmarole, and she's like, I didn't really talk to any about this case. I didn't talk to anybody about this. Then they kind of just start moving in with the question. So like I said, a lot of the questioning, this is just to summarize, so before I get into it, a lot of the question were just text messages. And if you follow Milagro, you probably have seen some of this stuff before, posts from Twitter, some clips from her lives. It was things of that nature. And ultimately what they were getting at, and again, I'm just going to summarize, is there was all this evidence. Tory Lanez was found guilty, but yet you're saying that Meg perjured herself and she lied on the stand, almost like he wasn't, like he's been proven to be guilty by a jury, but you keep going around saying that he's not guilty and he didn't do it. So that's kind of like the generalization. Yesterday they talked about, I guess, the deepfake video. So apparently there were, and allegedly, because I wasn't there was evidence that was presented that Meg had a video. Well, it wasn't her video. It was somebody did an AI video. Apparently they posted it on X. Milagro liked it, and she sent people to her likes. And the way the statute is, it's supposed to be where if you promote it, then you are basically a part of it. So you don't have to make it, you don't have to create it, you don't have to physically share it. If you like it, then, or send people there, like a promotion of the video. So people were saying yesterday that was somewhat proven. Again, I wasn't here yesterday, so that was mainly what went into yesterday. And apparently her argument was originally she thought it was real, and it was something that's of interest. People care about things that have to do with that type of situation, being in that position. But she also testified, I know today, that she said she was hoping that it wasn't real. She said she thought it was AI. She was like, she was hoping that it wasn't real, that somebody would put something out there like that or whatnot. But that's that whole deep fake video point. So the other points, like I said, they went through ad nauseum just about all the things that she has said on the internet related to Meg, even though Tory obviously was found guilty. So one of the things they were asking about, so they start out putting up this timeline. So the timeline starts, and then I guess they just went through all these different text messages until you get to, a certain point. So maybe that was the guideline, to try to keep it flowing or trying to make it look like it's flowing. I don't know how successful that was, but I think that was the point of it. So they show, let me see. It was like a text. For those of you that don't know, Sunstar Peterson is Daystar's father, or Tory's father. So they show like a text where Sunstar asked to talk to Millie. So Milagro. So that was like the first text, asked to talk to him, and asked to talk to her off the record. So they go through all of this about, well, how many times have you talked to Sunstar? How many DMs? How many phone calls? How many texts did you have? What do you mean by off the record? And she's like, well, sometimes when people want to give you information, they don't want you to divulge certain information to them. And she basically was saying, my lips are sealed. I won't tell whatever you want to tell me off the record. So then they were trying to elicit, you wanted this to be private. He didn't want anybody to know that you guys were talking. And she said, no, I don't think that he didn't want anybody to know that we were talking. It just may have been information that he gave me that he wanted, to be quiet. And I was letting him know that whatever information, that your secret is safe with me. So they had her reading all the messages. When she was reading these messages, y'all, she was reading them how I read them on here. They'll say, question, hey, Millie, how are you doing, daughter? Because a lot of the text messages, apparently there became like a familiarity where she described the relationship with Tory's father. Like, they didn't just talk about Tory all the time. They became a kind of like, she said her father passed away, so he almost became a mentor or a father figure. So it came to like calling her daughter. And when at first she was questioning about, well, why is he calling you daughter? And he don't even know you like that. And she's like, well, he's a man of God. And, so that's just how he talks. Then like later on, it started turning into like, I love you at the end of the text. And so that's when she kind of explained, hey, he was a father figure. We talked about more than just Tory. It wasn't just Tory. We talked about other things. And so she was like, that's basically how they kind of developed and grown over time with their relationship. But when she was reading those text messages, they had her read all the text messages, and she was animating. She was reading them like, hey, hi, Millie, we need to talk. So they go back and forth. Well, what did he want to talk about? It's like, she said, I was willing to talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. And so what they would do is, if she seemed like she would say one thing, they were trying to impeach her. So she's done 2 depositions. One deposition, and they were videotaped. So one deposition was 7 hours. One deposition was like 2 hours. So all throughout, she would say one thing, and then if it was even slightly off or seemed like it was slightly different, they would have a clip where they asked the exact same question in a deposition, and they were showing maybe it was off some, or she said with the public situation, she said, no, he knew that I was talking, that I wanted, that it wasn't no secret, because she said she was online when she got a DM from Tory or the father. And so she said she was online and she was like, hey, is this Tory trying to contact me? So they knew. So she said, so he knows it wasn't anything I was trying to keep private, that we were talking. She said, but it was the off the record. I wasn't just going to put it out there if he told me you off the record. So she said, when you have sources, they need to know that they can trust you. So you got to let them know, hey, off the record, we can talk. So then she ends up, they put up the deposition clip of her saying that he wanted to keep it private. So of course that looks like the opposite of what you just said about privacy. So that's what they were doing a lot of with the deposition. Like, they were trying to impeach whatever she said, because I'm gonna be honest, she presented well. Like, she articulated well, she answered the questions, and they gave her, because they called her in the case in chief, and they were doing a bunch of direct questions. So she was able to talk and clarify everything. And some of her answers, you were like, that's okay. I can kind of see that. Like some of her, it wasn't like a cross-examinations where I'm like, you put that out there because you wanted to humiliate Meg. Isn't that right? You knew that she didn't do it. A jury said she didn't do it, right? You know, to elicit yes or no. It was generally, well, why did you say that? And then she could literally explain herself. And some of her explanations were like, okay, I could totally see that. And so, yeah, so it was just, but we'll get into that. So then it was like a message they put up from an ex-boyfriend named Quentin Austin, I guess. He was like an ex-boyfriend. It was a text message. And she said, I guess she was in touch with him around that time. And apparently somebody put out, it was a message where I guess Tory mentioned her in a song. Some of you guys might know about it. I haven't heard it. But Tory mentioned her in a song. So the guy was like, oh, basically, you big time. You know, you big time. So they were trying to make that like, oh, he put you on a song. And she's like, no, I wasn't on a Tory song. He just referenced me in a song. So then they were like, oh, but he called you out and you got excited, didn't you? It's like, I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool that he called me out or whatnot. So they made a little bit of a big deal of that. Then September 25th of 2020, there was a message. And they were talking about some public information. So of course, in the message, so they asked, well, what information did you have that wasn't public? And she was basically explaining she has a tip line. And people were calling in and they would say if they heard something, then they would let her know. Like if they heard something about Megan Thee Stallion, they will call her and tell her about it. So she was getting a lot of information from this tip line. So they were like, well, how do you know these people are credible? Like what are your tips to know that these people that are giving you the information, what's your key to investigating it? Huh? Like how you investigating any of the stuff if these random people just calling you or whatever. So she said that she doesn't take, and she says that later in cross, that she doesn't just take what everybody says and just go with it. She says she does try to verify. But yeah, so then they break down, they go back to the ex-boyfriend text, and apparently she says, I can't even flex like I want to though. You know, about, I guess, the name being in there or whatever. And she said, meaning she felt like things were shaking up and she felt like people were knowing that Megan Thee Stallion was being dishonest and that she had information, but she couldn't talk about it. And she did say that none of the information that she put on her platform was done by Tory telling her like, hey, I need you to talk about this. It was done on her own volition. So she, you know, they kept trying to list it like the relationship that you had. You were basically on the team. They kept saying that you were on the team. You were feeding them information. You were the mouthpiece on the team. And she's like, no, I wouldn't say I was on the team. I'm just a commentator like everybody else. I give my opinion and I pose things as questions. And sometimes when I pose things as questions, you know, people respond and get their own, you know, they make their own decisions based off of the information that I put out. So then I guess on September 25th, 2020, they put up another text, which was, I guess it was Daystar's album release. And it was a listening party. And she was talking to him about the project. And it was like a text message about that. Then September 26, 2020, there was a text from Sunstar and asked to talk to her. And that's when the first about my daughter. And they were like highlighting, why is he calling you my daughter? Why is he calling you your daughter? And then it was a reference about a Zoom call. They were supposed to get on a Zoom call, and they're like, what's the Zoom call about? So apparently, I guess Sunstar was going to start some type of, this is according to her testimony, Sunstar was going to start a podcast, and he was doing, he sings or something himself, and he does book writing and all of that. And so they were going to discuss that, because apparently at some point, as we'll see later, he wanted her to market some of this on the platform. And so then in the text, I guess when he first reached out to her, she said she was excited because she thought she was going to get an exclusive interview when it comes to whenever she talked to Sunstar for the first time. She thought, oh, I'm going to get a exclusive interview. And but the call, I guess, was brief. And he was saying that he was just very appreciative. All he said to her was he was very appreciative that she was out here and she was seeing. She was open-minded about Tory, because Tory was online getting bashed, and she was out here, you know, really seeing the good, I guess, in him and seeing it from a different lens. And he would say things like, things are going to come out, you're going to find out later. But he didn't necessarily always give the specifics on information that they may have had that was going to exonerate Tory. Thank you so much, Kat Williams, for the super chat. You've been on my screen, and I just had to start getting through this, because I'm like, my pen ran out of ink. Thank you, Deborah, for the super chat. You say, hey, Pam, thanks for keeping us up to date. I'm trying, because some of this stuff, I'm telling you, it was a snooze fest. I tried, you know, I'm always thorough, but it still was a snooze. It was, some of it was like, whoo. It was just a lot of, it felt like, this is what it felt like, guys. It really felt like they were almost trying to retry the case. That's what it was feeling like. So at one point, there were audio of the shots being fired. At one point, it was Kelsey's snippets of her interview was played. At one point, towards the end, they read 15 minutes of her testimony from the trial into the transcript. So it was just so much. And I think a lot of people got the same out of it, that the way it was being presented was it was interesting. So anyways, so they put up another depth video, and it was like, and they asked her a question, and she was like, Sunstar talks in parables on the calls. He would hint at things that spoke of his innocence, but he never really said certain things. Said, like, you know, again, you're gonna see, just hold up, you're gonna see, it's coming, you're gonna see, but never really said anything, because they was trying to see, like, what details did his father give you? Did he give you any details about it? Did he give you any details about his testimony? That's another thing they kept bringing up of, you're saying Meg lied on the stand, but we don't know what Daystar Peterson will say, because he chose not to testify. And a lot of that choosing not to testify kept coming up. And we all know in a criminal case, you have the right to not testify. Like, it's not your case. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it. So that kept coming up, like, you believe everything he say, but he didn't even want to come under oath and testify. But Meg came under oath, and she actually did testify. So almost like by default, you should be believing her or something. It was just the way I'd have presented in a different way, but you guys know it was just a lot. So then on September 20th, it was a text from someone named Emil, and they were like,
yo, this case is gonna be crazy, man. I want to know what y'all think, man. Who do y'all think is gonna win this case? Milagro? Do you think Meg is gonna win it? Shout out to the sis, you know what I mean? Shout out to Pam, you know what I'm saying? I most definitely be rocking with Pam. I'll be tapping in with her, you know what I mean? She's most definitely a legal mind, so I like to tap in with legal minds, you know what I mean? Content creators as well. But she misses some of this. She looked like she tired today. Like, what happened? Pam? Pam tired, homie. What happened? Hold up. We're gonna come back to Pam. Salute to Pam and all that. But we need a little more energy in here, homie. Shout out to Pam, though. Shout out to Pam. We're gonna come back to Pam. I don't hope y'all not mad. But nah, we're gonna check Donat out. Because they're not know what the hell going on too. And they're not about to give us a little with the shit too. You know what I mean?
DNA against Tory was
listening to Donut ass.
She also wrote that they concluded that Tory never handled the weapon. Milagro Gramz station head was played saying, "Sue me if I'm lying." Milagro spoke to her sources. They lie on the moon. They live on the moon. That's what she said. I spoke to my sources. My sources live on the moon. And when you think of the moon, you think they got all the information. They light up the night. They shine light in the darkness. In the darkness is Tory Lanez is convicted and in jail. And somebody can shine light on the facts. So when Milagro said that my sources live on the moon, to me it said that you're in.
I wish I could go to this trial, bro. I wish I could, bro. Straight up. I wish I could go to this trial. I'm gonna let Donut rock it out. I'm gonna let Donut rock it out for a little bit more. Shout out to Donut. Because he's still alive. So I'm gonna let him rock out a little bit more. Because they're not looking like he dry. Like, what happened? You know, people going to the court and they getting a spell put on. I put a spell on you. What the hell happened? Everybody dried up. What the hell going on? Where the energy at? Now, let's get back to my girl, Pam. Shout out to Pam.
Like, I think they were trying to make it seem like, and I'm speculating, that this was from they were talking about Sunstar Peterson. So this is the text. Star, stay shouting you out, LOL. So I think they put it up there because it didn't make any other sense to put it up there, that they thought it was Sunstar Peterson, like he out there on the internet, like, I want to give my girl Milagro, my girl Mila, because that's what he called her. I want to give my girl Mila a shout out or something. And then when he puts the text up, Milagro was like, that's for Star Terrain. Like, that wasn't even for Sunstar Peterson. And it's like a big influencer. And I guess the guy Star Terrain was like, I F's with Mob Radio heavy. And that's the only conclusion I can get for why they even put that up, because otherwise it didn't make sense. So
if you're live with us right now, salute to everybody that's rocking with us right now on Go. But I'm also live on Comedy on Go. So when I ended on Uda on Go, I will be streaming it, continue streaming on Comedy on Go. So make sure y'all head over there and subscribe. So when it ends here, you are going to be continuing the live stream with us. So salute to that.
they asked her, like, what did you understand that he messed with Mob Radio? And she said, I understood it that means he likes my show, my show. But it just didn't make sense. I'm like, that's not even from Sunstar. I think they assumed that's what it was because they said Star. But again, I'm speculating. Then it was a voice note they played where I guess Milagro was saying if he didn't lie to me talking about Tory, when we personally, I want to fight because he told me we were going to be vindicated. I sound like Meg now. He said, because he said he was just basically, she was saying like in a voice message that Tory better not be lying to her. So of course they use that as if Tory was feeding information, alleging or trying to infer that Tory was trying to feed some information. That's why she said that. So then they asked how she learned about the whole shooting. She said she learned about it on TMZ. TMZ had video, so that's how she knew that something happened. And then they went back to what did Tory say about getting vindicated? On a phone call, they showed that there was some phone call between him and the father and her on